Now you should remember that dramatic slow-mo closing scene from one of my many other outstanding videos, such as the last one, to be very actual. And now, for the sake of fastidiousness, I'm going to go ahead and clean up these cataclysmic wads of pus on the floor. What I want you to do is look at this. These are the current game stats. Look particularly at where the arrows are showing you to look. That is, the scark snuffs and the reciprocal events. In your game, they'll relate to zombie kills and deaths. And to show you there's no fudging here, I'll give you a quick glimpse at the veiled figures. So you can see for yourself, I am skillful beyond comprehension. 1,198 scark snuffs and 12 reciprocal events. That makes me... Oh, it occurs to me I haven't said g'day yet. Well, g'day. I continue to be he who is grassybeans. Who the hell are you? And who the hell do I want you to be? Well, that's entirely up to me, and I fabulously don't care. You can be whoever you want. My suggestion would be for you to be in this moment whoever you were in the last moment, like I do. But don't do it like I do it. That's what I do. You do your own do, and I'll do my own do. It's what I do, which I should do now. So now let's all go ahead and do that. Oh, and then he changed the subject without warning. Let's talk about Hickory for a while. There are times when Hickory just tires of the day-to-day housekeeping, and an overwhelming sense of wanderlust displaces the melancholy. I've got to do more, so much more. And it's said that in life that when one door closes, another door opens. And so, as Hickory pauses to ponder the horizon, one dominating thought declares, adventure. Now, where do you suppose Hickory could be going to find adventure that wouldn't just happen in any particular location where you happen to be at the present moment? And what I mean by that is that you can pretty much just stay in the one spot and all the adventure you can handle will eventually find you. You don't really have to go looking for it, but this is just how I play the game. I'll doodle around in one spot for a while, and just like Hickory, I grow weary of constantly sorting and rearranging inventory, packing, stacking and rearranging resource chests, and I've just got to get out of there. So we run, or walk, depending on how much smack we've had. And by we, I mean Hickory, not me. I don't do smack, I'm as pure as a Catholic altar boy. Oh, you see, now this is a bit of a bonus adventure that we wouldn't have had we stayed where we were. These airdrops, they're a bit of a conundrum to me. I want to know, how are they happening? Who's in charge of where and when the drops are made? Where does the plane come from? And where does it go to? And who the hell is flying that plane? Are there other people somewhere that Hickory is unaware of? Lots and lots of questions. And who the hell could answer them? Probably some jerk like me, I'd say. So if you know some jerk like me, then you could probably listen to them answer all those questions for you. Or, and hear me out on this, you could also use another jerk that's even more like me than those other jerks, which would be me, Grassybeans. I will be answering all those questions, if I could ever stop old-splaining all this shit. Now you might be wondering why Hickory is running around aimlessly in the bush like some sort of a squidless tentacle flopping around in the ocean. Well, we do actually have a mission, but the problem is I keep forgetting what it is. So Hickory has to just keep wandering around trying to look busy until I remember what the fuck the plan was. And I'm sad to say that that is exactly what's happening here. Pretty sure I was heading to the cabin in the woods. But as you'll see, it doesn't take much for me to get distracted along the way, and once distracted, well, you can see the problem. As a result, of course, it always takes me a long time to get things done, just as it takes me a long time to explain things. There always seems to be any amount of grass to run past. You run past some, and then there's more. And then, of course, there's the bird nests. Never let a bird nest pass you by. Now, here's a discovery. I know this probably looks to you for all the world like a snake hole, but it's not. Here in Australia, we call these holes wombat chasms, couple of old corpses here in the entry. Looks like the wombats have been snacking on the odd Australian male on the way in. As you can see, they're very wasteful eaters, but if you've ever eaten an Australian male, you'll know that anything above the waist is waste anyway, so yeah, all the good meaty bits are down below. And just in case you didn't know, the wombats make these enormous chasms searching for their favourite source of protein, the old Australian turret worm. And of course it's the turret worms that leave all these spikes of potassium nitrate all over the place. But you won't see any wombats in these holes because wombats that have been feasting on the turret worm are the favourite food for the Australian goanna snake. And the reason you don't see any of the goanna snakes is because they eat the wombats. And the reason for that is very intriguing, but I'm not going to intrigue you with it right now because I'm trying to hold in a squishy fart. But I'll bet that you didn't know any of those made-up facts now, did you? And do you want to know why you didn't know any of those made-up facts? It's because your mum's so stupid that when she heard her phone had Bluetooth, she took it to the dentist. Well, I've wasted all this time now and I'm still no closer to remembering what my mission was. But I do seem to have ended up at the cabin in the woods, so perhaps that was the agenda? Either way, I'll just make the rest up from here. I don't think I've actually started telling you anything about anything in this video yet anyway. God damn it, a piece of hoarder's making a break for it. Gonna have to go ahead and deal with that now. Oh, superlatively well done, Grassy Beans. You're such a champion. So, I'm thinking now that maybe I'd better get on with going ahead and doing that explaining that I'm supposed to be doing. And there's that Americanism again. How annoying is it getting? Go ahead. I know where it came from. It was a Clint Eastwood movie.
Go ahead. Make my day. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Clint Eastwood said it, so the obvious take from that is if I say it, that makes me as devastatingly divine as him. And I now feel so adequately good about myself that I can continue living for another few moments until I can say it again, and again, and again, and again. Only Americans. You've got to fuck 'em over, haven't you? So why would you suppose people are so solidarial? To start with, solidarial is a word I made up just then for the same pointless reason that Americans say, go ahead. None. That's the pointless reason. Okay, enough of this rot. Let's try talking about something else. I think I'll raise the topic of this video's title now, the meaning of life. And now I know you'll probably be thinking, Grassy Beans, are you actually going to be telling us the meaning of life? That's the holy grail of both science and religion. If you can do this, if you can give the population the answer to their most formidable question, that will make you, Grassy Beans, the greatest and most profound YouTuber and game lore writer in the universe. Well, I'm humbled by your accurate and worthy adoration, and of course I'll accept your meaningless platitudes with my enormous gratitude. And you may continue idolizing me until you reach orgasm. And then, of course, tell all your friends on tweet. About me, of course, not about your orgasm. Nobody on the internet wants to hear or know about orgasms, okay? And then Hickory was taken by a whim to chop wood. Not just any wood, tree wood. Tree wood is what all wooden things come from. And always remember you learned that piece of vital information here, from Grassy Beans. So Hickory is faced with the enormous task of hunting down all those trees that are made specifically from tree wood. And what an intense battle it is, as is indicated by the intensity of the background music. And while you're watching this nail-biting over-dramatization, try not to involuntarily urinate on the person sitting next to you. They may be holding a fluffy kitten, which you may need for another purpose later in this video. Okay, we're 10 minutes into the video and I haven't done any story. Let's change that. We'll leave Hickory to continue the overdramatic tree carnage in the background and we'll move on in our discussion. From this point onward, I'm going to sound like I'm speaking in riddles and what would seem like nonsensical rhetoric. So not much different from what you're used to hearing from me anyway. Let's get started. Everything that I say to you in this explanation is a list of labels. And what I mean by that is this. We label everything. Every word that we speak, no matter what the language, every word is a label for something. All of the physical things have labels, actions have labels, and there are even labels for thoughts, ideas, and feelings. The word label is the label we give to the action of naming or labeling something. And that's about the only way that we can identify and recognize all of the stuff around us. We label it. We have labeled everything in this physical universe that we occupy, even things that we can't see, like thoughts and feelings. All labels. Every single word is a label for something. And now I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but I am trying to make a point here. And that is that labeling is a physical existence attribute. Everything we know about must have a label. Otherwise, it can't exist as a concept in our minds. You can't identify something if it doesn't have a label. So, we label things, teach everyone else what the label is, and then everyone knows what that thing is. Hence, we all know and are accustomed to all of our labels. But what I'm about to talk to you about has no label. And not only is nothing about it labelled, but nothing about it is even able to be labelled. Because in many cases, we don't even have the ability to form a thought about it, let alone understand it. I did mention it in the last episode only briefly. It's the ultra-universe. The ultra-universe isn't an obvious world of science and physics. And there isn't a scientist on the planet that would be able to explain it to you. Just gotta fix this a little bit first. Floor needs adjusting. And fixing and fixing. Really? Oh, what a fucking floor abortion that is. Can't be fucked with it now. Got other things to do. There's an ultra-universe out there waiting to be explained. Anyhow, like I just said, the ultra-universe isn't an obvious world of science and physics. It's more of a clandestine, bizarre, anomalous world of pseudoscience hiding in plain sight, right in front of science. So obvious and conspicuous that absolutely no one is able to see it, even if you point it out to them. The ultra-universe is there. It's always been there. But ask a scientist about it, and you'll get a look that tells you, fuck off and stop annoying me by being such a stupid accumulation of hemoglobins. But you and I both know that the actual stupid hemoglobic blob is the scientist, because we know about the ultra-universe. Well, I do. You're going to know about it soon. So in that vein, here's a nice, simple yet elegant analogy that should help you understand exactly how the ultra-universe do be. Take a picture. Now print that picture and study it in the most minute detail that you can achieve. You will see everything in the picture that was in front of the camera at the time you took the picture. Everything is there, from the wrinkled skin of your prepuce in the foreground to the tiniest detail in the background. It's all there. But there is something there that you will never be able to see, no matter how closely you look. It was definitely there in front of the camera when you took the picture, but there is no trace of it in the picture. It is eternally undetectable, yet it is there. And it is the camera's lens. Without it, the picture isn't even possible. But you won't find it by examining the photo. No matter how closely you examine the photo, you won't find any evidence of the lens. So in that analogy, the picture you took represents what science knows of this physical universe, and the camera lens represents the ultra-universe. So the full analogy is summed up like this. The physical world that you took the photo of is what it is, the physical universe. The camera's lens is the ultra-universe, and the photo represents that which science has discovered of the physical universe. The photo is an accurate reproduction of the physical with no trace of the ultra. Everything that science has discovered accurately describes and represents the physical universe in the most minute detail, just like the photo in the analogy. But, as you can see from my insanely brilliant analogy, There is more to the physical and what science understands of it than any highly educated scientist can ever know. The ultra-universe is there. It is undeniable and yet undiscoverable. And without it, the physical universe, the universe that we all live in, isn't even possible. The best that we can hope to achieve in relation to the ultra-universe is that we are aware of it. We will never be able to understand it. But that's not going to stop me from trying to explain it. Now, you were warned that I was going to sound like I was going to be talking in riddles and nonsensical rhetoric. Well, I think I may have delivered on that respect. But the question now is, what on earth made me think that you needed to know all that brain-bumbling stuff about the ultra-universe? Well, I'm explaining this so that I can demonstrate to you where and how the temporal exists, because according to my law, that is where all of the game characters are in stasis and where they come from when they manifest into the game world. So, now, back to the ultra-universe. First, I'm going to tell you some things about the physical universe in relation to the ultra-universe. The physical universe is a causal result of the ultra-universe. Everything that exists in the physical universe both exists and not exists in the ultra-universe. Both universes share a lot of the same causality. And that's because they are one in the same. And you'll notice I didn't say one and the same. The reason for that is saying one and the same is saying that one thing is a synonym of the other, whereas saying one in the same, one must imagine something being inside the same thing as itself, which is more like the reality of the physical universe, ultra-universe relationship. There are two things that do be: the stuff that is in existence and the stuff that is not in existence. Both must be. And modern science is very busy and very stumped trying to explain the stuff that is, let alone the stuff that is not. The ultra-universe is where all things and all not things are in a state of perpetual isness and not isness. And now I've gone and said a lot of stuff that I need to explain again. Okay, let me make you feel even more stupid by telling you you don't even know the true meaning of opposite. Right now you think the opposite of black is white, and the opposite of up is down, and the opposite of some is none. Well, I hate to disappoint you. Well, that's not true. I love doing this. I get such a boner from saying this sort of shit. So glad you can't see what I'm doing to this kitten's corpse right now. The true meaning of opposite when you take the ultra-universe into consideration is like this. In the physical universe, we have stuff that we've labelled colour. One of those colours is black, and in the physical universe, its opposite is labelled white. So you are kind of half right in a stupid physical way. Now this is the true ultra-universal adaptation of opposite. In the physical there is black and white, and they are correctly opposites. But consider the ultra-universe, and this is going to sound like double Dutch, but in the ultra-universe there is black, but its opposite is not white, its opposite is not black. Just as there is up, and its opposite is not down, its opposite is not up. Confusing? You should try being in my brain. I don't even want to know this stuff, I just somehow annoyingly do know it. But now I know I'm going to have to go back and clear up that explanatory mud puddle that I just left you in while trying to explain true opposites. I've told you in a roundabout way that the ultra-universe is all that is and is all that is not. Now I'm going to tell you everything that exists in this physical universe must also exist in the ultra-universe. So, in the ultra-universe there is black, but its opposite is the not version of black, which, of course, is not black. Same goes for white, up, down, and everything else. Their opposite in the ultra-universe is the not version of those things. So, not white, not up, not down, and so forth. But here I am putting labels on things that I said couldn't be labelled. Well, I have two arguments for that. Firstly, I can label these things because they already exist in this physical universe where we have already labelled them. And secondly, I have to use labels because labels is all we know. And if I wanted to explain something without using labels, that would sound something like this. So yes, I do have to use labels. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm sick of using my ears to listen to me, using my voice to talk to you, using your ears to listen to me. So I'm going to stop for a while, and you listen to this. Well now, wasn't that entertaining? On a scale of my house, I'd say that was about as entertaining as the toilet door. So yes, very entertaining like a toilet door. So I've digressed. What was I talking about? I think I was talking about the not version of things. So when I say the not version of things, what I mean by that is the non-existence of those things. So not white is the non-existence of white as opposed to black. Not up is the non-existence of up as opposed to down, and so forth. The stuff that is the ultra-universe can't be named because it is not identifiable, not quantifiable, and not even recognizable. We literally have no idea that we can pin to the stuff that is the ultra-universe. Nor are we capable of even holding any such an idea, simply because our thinking is based in the physical, where there exists no accurate analogous representation of anything that is of the ultra-universe, other than that which is of the physical, which we already know. And that is kind of how things do be in the ultra-universe. There's a lot more to it than that. This just barely scratches the surface, so I'll be on this for quite some time to come yet. Not all in this episode though, but I will be doing my best. Now I'm going to talk about the ultra-universe in conjunction with our physical universe. This is what I call the all that is. Firstly, there is only one universe, the ultra-universe. All of the other theories proposed by science, I'm afraid, are just things that go plop in the toilet. So yes, the multiverse, the Big Bang Theory, all just toilet plop. Sorry about that, Stephen, and all you other science heads, but you're wrong about that one. And the reason I can say that confidently is because the Ultra Universe encapsulates all of your theories and breaks down the walls that you have spent years building trying to define things. Take a look at that word define. You think it's your ally, but it's only working against you. Its very meaning says that you are drawing lines to box your explanation in. The actual dictionary meaning is, quote, to determine or fix the boundaries or extent of, unquote. You simply cannot do this because the boundaries of what you're trying to describe are of the Ultra Universe and thus non-existent, which is why you're wrong. So saith pseudoscience. Well, now I see it's getting late in the day, and I suppose I should get to the safety of indoors. And it's getting near the end of the video again, so if I were you right now, I'd probably be thinking, well, fuck him, he didn't tell us the meaning of life. To which I would reply, point in fact, I didn't actually say I was going to, that's just what I called this episode. The fact is, I was hoping to get there, but the Ultra Universe turned out to be more complex and difficult to explain than even I anticipated. And so just for now, I'm going to go ahead and let you hear this.
Go ahead. Make my day.
And this.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You see, I've got my Clint Eastwood gun, so I can actually and justifiably say that thing that all Americans get wet and orgasmic about saying, go ahead and something my something. Well, what do you know, I fucked it up. It looks like it's actually something that only Americans can do perfectly. And just for now, I've got some toilet door quality entertainment for you. It's this nighttime skirmish, which by now is pretty run-of-the-mill stuff for Hickory. But I'm not going to stop talking, otherwise you'd just stop watching the video thinking to yourself, well, that's the end of that crap. But no, I'm still going to be saying stuff, and you don't know, it may just be something that's not crap, like this. While you mindlessly gaze at my heavily mesmerizing toilet door entertainment, I'm going to go ahead and tell you a story. There is a purpose to this story, but you won't know it until you've watched my next video, which will be called Now I Can Tell You, which of course refers back to this video, The Meaning of Life. So this video did the groundwork, and the next video will conclude the process. And thus the story begins. One fine day that wasn't a dark and stormy night, an artist stood in one corner of his backyard. There was an artist's easel lying face down on the ground. The artist had just completed his latest creative work. He called a friend to come over and have a look at his latest creative work. The friend came over, went to the artist's backyard, and stood near the face down easel. He looked back at the artist and said, I don't get it. The artist said, you're standing too close, move further away. His friend moved to the center of the yard, looked back at the artwork, looked back at the artist and said, I still don't get it. The artist repeated, you're still standing too close, move further away. So the man went next door, climbed onto the neighbor's roof, looked at the artwork, looked back at the artist and said, I still don't get it. The artist told him, move further away. So the man went and hired a helicopter, flew 5,000 feet over the artist's yard, called the artist on his phone and said, I still don't get it. The artist said, move further away. This went on until the man was standing on the surface of the moon. And when he looked back at the artwork, he had to exclaim, now I get it. It's the Earth. You're saying the Earth is your newest work of art. You're such an egotistical fuck. And then he died of space-itis, because his blood both boiled and froze at the same time, which is what happens when you go into space without a spacesuit to look at a stupid piece of artwork. What a fucking dead dick that jerk was. But there is a lesson to this story, and the lesson is, don't let some snide intellectual cockhead tell you where to stand to look at something so you'll see things the way they do. That's what scientists do, by the way. Look at things your own way. You don't have to see things the way someone else does. They're all egotistical fucks. And if you just do what they tell you to do without thinking about it, then you're no better than the fucking dick that died in space without a spacesuit. Yes, and now I know you're thinking, well, what a stupid pointless story that was. And I would question, are you really deeply disappointed in me? And you'll say, pretty much, that had to be the shittiest story that has ever assaulted my tympanic membrane. My auditory cortex was so offended it punched the rest of my brain, and now I've got a headache. So then I'll reply, well, your auditory cortex can just go focculate itself. That's what I say. My story had a purpose, and what that purpose is, well, I'll talk some more about that when I've got a bit more time. Oh look, I've just found some more time in front of me here. But I lied to you. I'm not going to talk about whatever it was that I said I was going to talk about. I'm actually going to ask you to do something for me. I want you to remember all that we talked about in this video, because in the next video I'll be telling you where you fit into this grand design and how all this relates to playing 7 Days to Die, and what makes my law the only law that makes any sense. So yes, in the next video I will be saying stuff that is profound and gobsmacking, just like in all of my videos. Until then, think about this. There are only 27 letters, 7 notes and 3 colours, and with that we try to explain the universe. Salsac, share and like, subscribe and comment, or prepare to die. You have 7 days.